We've got some injury news to discuss on today's show. Initially, it looked really bad, and I don't want to say we're out of the woods quite yet, but Jeff Okudah was carted off from practice today at training camp. We all know what the cart means. It is the Grim Reaper for athletes, but I will push back and say the last couple of years, the cart has not always been the kiss of death. Like Joe Burrow was carted off from practice the other day, and his season was not lost. So not good when Jeff Okudah goes down with a leg injury, because we know he has dealt with leg injuries throughout his NFL career. But the new update we got right as we were filming, actually, we decided to stop because it was so important, was Adam Schefter tweeting out, Falcons cornerback Jeff Okudah is set to have an MRI on his ankle to determine the severity of the injury. So the optimist in me wants to believe maybe this is a bad ankle sprain or something to that tune. You don't get an MRI on a fracture, so I'm optimistic that that is not the case. So fingers crossed, but hopefully this is not a season-ending injury. But we do know that Jeff Okudah does have a long history of injuries so far in his young NFL career, and this blows. This sucks to see. Whether he misses the whole season, hopefully not, or he misses the next month or so, not good to see, nevertheless, because for Okudah, this is, in my opinion, the most important season of his young NFL career. He has to show the league that he can be reliable. He can play a full season. He put together 15 games last year, the most in his NFL career, and we want to see him build off of that. We can kind of run through his injury history here. His first season, he missed 7 games due to a hamstring and then later on a groin injury. Then in 2021, he missed basically the entire season after rupturing his Achilles. Last season, we saw the most of the former top 5 pick from Ohio State, only missing 2 weeks, suffered a concussion in, I think, the Thanksgiving game. And this year, it's TBD. Hopefully, we see him all 17 weeks. It is August 4th right now, so if we're going kind of best case scenario is the MRI reveals there's nothing wrong and he's going to be good to go in a week. More of the realist side would be maybe he misses the entire preseason, but he's still going to be ready to go for the regular season. And then the half glass empty would be we get bad MRI results and Okudah is lost for the season. But listen, anytime news breaks, you guys know we're going to break it down here on the channel. Rolly and I coming in on a Friday to break down this news for you guys. So make sure you subscribe because we're trying to reach 13,000 subscribers. And the more subscribers we get here, well, the more studio space. And so help us grow our Falcons YouTube channel by clicking that sub button. Now, Jeff Okudah, throughout his NFL career, has only played 25 of the possible 50 games. And in those games, he hasn't looked like a first-round pick. Let's call it what it is. But he's also just dealt with hurdle after hurdle, rehab after rehab, right? Not being able to find himself on the field for any real long stretches up until last season when he played pretty well for Detroit. But overall grade, 51.6. Coverage isn't great, but he was taken top 5 by the Lions because of his insane athletic traits that do not come around every year. Honestly, kind of like Bijan Robinson, where you just don't find that complete package of a running back in every single draft. That was Jeff Okudah coming out, where the size and the speed, usually you get one or the other. You don't get a 6'2" corner that's super fast as well. But in Jeff Okudah's case, you got a bit of a lengthier guy who also has insane athleticism, insane quickness, burst, speed, all that good stuff. So I really want to see Okudah work out. I think it would be an insane pickup for the Falcons if they can get a top-tier corner for a 5th-round pick looking back at it. But he's got to be available. So fingers crossed that it's not a severe injury. Potentially by the time you're watching this, you already know the severity of it. And if it is, unfortunately, a season-ending injury, well, Atlanta's got some, new faces in their secondary. They added Mike Hughes. They drafted Clark Phillips. You've got players like Armstrong and Hall who have some NFL experience, along with D. Alford. So they've got some horses back there that know what they're doing, and they would not be fish out of water. But I was very excited to see what Terrell and Okudah could form, and hopefully we still get that. But I want to send the guy some well wishes. He's new to Atlanta. He's new to the Falcons. Let's let him learn what the Dirty Birds are all about. Let's get the prayers emoji going in the comment section right now. That way, if he's searching himself today while he's recovering, he knows that Falcons fans are having his back and rooting for a quick recovery. Now, we do have to acknowledge the possibility of Okudah being lost for the season. And if that's the case, we got to look at some possible replacements. And so we're going to start off with Casey Hayward, right? A familiar face for sure. Signed a 2-year contract, got hurt last season. Atlanta moved on from him after 1 year into that 2-year contract. It does make some sense to have a reunion with Casey Hayward. He's got familiarity with the team. It's a new defense, right? Now that Pease is out and Nielsen is in, but nevertheless, he would be easiest to catch up to speed now that we're in August, and you don't want to, baby someone or have someone come in and take a little extra too long to pick up the playbook and be lost and confused in the first month of the season. Next player to watch for is Ronald Darby. So Ronald Darby is an interesting guy we'll look at more, but I want to run through some of the other replacements as well. Troy Hill, he was with the Browns, and then he got traded to the Rams. He's more of a slot corner, so if they did add Troy Hill, I think they would have to reshuffle a little bit. So he's got some NFL experience, but he's not an outside corner. Kyle Fuller was a very good outside corner for the Chicago Bears for a long time. Then he went to the Broncos, was awful there. Then he got signed by the Ravens last season. Unfortunately, he got hurt very early on in the season, so we didn't see him the rest of the way. But if he's got a little bit of juice left in the tank, this could be a nice addition if he's 100%. And then William Jackson was with the Washington Commanders. He got moved around a little bit, went from Cincy to Washington to Pittsburgh, I believe. But he's definitely got some outside starting experience. And at this point in the game, you're not going to find a lot of guys on the market who can come in and be great day one starters. It's August. They're hard to find. But Darby would be my pick of the litter here if we're trying to find someone who could step in and not skip a beat. He's got tons of experience. 88 starts over 8 seasons with the Bills, the Eagles. I don't know if he was a Redskin, a Commander, or a football teamer, but he was with Washington and the Broncos. But he is unfortunately coming off a torn ACL he suffered last season with the Broncos. But there is league-wide interest. The Vikings brought him in for a visit. So to me, that signals that he has recovered from his ACL injury and he still has some football left in him. He unfortunately has been plagued by injuries 3 out of the last 4 years. He got hurt, like I mentioned, a season ago. Before that, he missed time with the Broncos as well. The last full season came in 2020 with Washington. So there is something to replacing an injured player with a guy who's been injured. Kind of feels like a recipe for disaster. But if you can capture a healthy Ronald Darby for a full season, the guy's still a good starting cornerback. Overall grade last year in a small sample size, 71.1 overall. Coverage grade 66.3. So Darby, when he is healthy, has been a good corner, and he's not being signed to be a team CB1 and take on a team's top wide receiver, right? Would be coming over to be that second fiddle to A.J. Terrell. And like I said, if you can get a healthy Darby, he would be very good at that role. I just don't know if he's really healthy. But let me know, should the Falcons sign a corner? We just looked at the depth chart. They've got some experience, right? They've got some guys in the wings that maybe they want to see kind of play out a little bit before they test the free agency market. Or are you in the camp of, nope, we've seen those guys. We saw that movie last year. It was awful against the Bengals. Let's not run it back. Let's go get someone who's got some real NFL experience, or at least more than just a season or two. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Now, while you're typing Y for yes or N for no to keep it simple, I want to tell you guys about our sportsbook partner here at Chat Sports, BetUS. If you go to chatsports.com/betfalcons and use promo code Falcons125, they hook you up with a 125% deposit bonus. Now, preseason football can be a bit of a drag. Let's just call it what it is. But join me in betting every single over for Falcons preseason games. That way we have something to watch for. And I'll also add Taylor Heineke in the second half of these games. He's going to be a lot better than second and third string defenses, and he might carve them up. So I think the over is a lock for these Falcons preseason games. Get some free money. Chatsports.com/betfalcons. Promo code Falcons125. Some other news I want to hit on here that happened over the last 24 hours. We had some waived/injured players. The edge rusher, Ikenna Nchuko. Felipe Franks, see you later. Get out of here. Get that bum of a gadget off this team. Chris Blair was also waived and injured. And then Ethan Greenidge, who we saw get carted off from practice the other day with what we now know is a season-ending injury, was placed on IR. Not officially. Oh, yeah, officially now. So he is done for the season. He cannot play with the Falcons for 2023. Now, there was some other moves made. The Falcons themselves tweeted it out, signing defensive lineman Matthew Peterson, offensive lineman Michael Manet, defensive lineman Kevon Patton, and wide receiver Matthew Sexton. I don't think I recognize a single one of those names. Maybe I remember them from college football, but no. So a whole bunch of nobodies that maybe make the practice squad, but I'm not going to BS you and be like, that Matthew guy, he could really push for a 53-man roster spot. To wrap up the show, we've got a fun draft today, and Rolly had a huge win yesterday. I'm going to call it a Mickey Mouse win. He pandered to the audience. He played on your guys' emotions. He gave me the first-round pick. He gave me the 1-1 pick yesterday, and now I'm getting punished for it.
Well, you should have been more honest with yourself, Petey.
I honestly just didn't remember, but you just gave it to me.
Yeah, whatever.
Today's draft is TV broadcasters, all of our favorite play-by-play and color guys. Just watching the Hall of Fame game yesterday, the Chris Collinsworth slide, I'm like, we're back, baby, at least TV-wise. So,
yeah.
Rolly the 1-1.
I went 1-1, and probably not the best, but my personal favorite, and it's Kevin Harlan. Whether it be in the NBA or in the NFL, there is no one that entertains me more on the microphone than Kevin Harlan. Anytime he's calling a game, he capitalizes on it and makes me glued to the TV. I love Kevin Harlan.
He's great, no doubt about it. My first selection, I went with Al Michaels. He's kind of an old grouch at this point in his career, but I still love Al Michaels. I still get goosebumps thinking about, his miracle call, everything about it. So Al Michaels, to me, is one of my favorite play-by-play guys. You can't go wrong Sunday Night Football with Al.
Yeah, I went with Gus Johnson as my 3. He is very entertaining in the college football world. He does a little bit of NBA. He does a little bit of the NFL, and he even does some college basketball. Very, very versatile play-by-play guy, and another guy who brings the energy. Love hearing Gus Johnson call the game. His first call of big noon touchdowns is awesome on Saturday.
He is the best for Saturday. Jim Nantz was my second selection. You get the Jim Nantz week. You go straight from the Final Four to the Masters. It's his week. I'm going to miss Jim Nantz week, but I love Jim Nantz. He has such a great, Final Four voice, and then he's got that beautiful touch on the Masters with the birds chirping and everything around it.
Yeah, I went with Joe Buck here, and I know this might be a little bit of a controversial take because I know some people don't love Joe Buck, but when you hear Joe Buck's voice over the airwaves, you just think big games. World Series, Sunday 4:25 game on the NFL. Joe Buck is one of the best to do it, and he just gets you fired up, and when you hear him calling your team play a game, ooh, you know it's a big one.
I'm going to miss Joe. I miss Joe Buck for World Series. It's not the same on Monday night. My third selection, Kirk Herbstreit. I think he's the king of college football airwaves. He is the most intelligent and knowledgeable person, I think, in college football, and he is just such a great listen for every big college football game, and game day especially. Herbstreit is the best in the biz. The way he can just also hop on Thursday Night Football with Al Michaels now and not skip a beat, I love Herbstreit.
My final pick, I went with Ian Eagle, and I realized I did all play-by-play guys here in my draft, but I love the Eagle. He is very good at what he does, whether it be college basketball or in the NFL. And now his son Noah is also pretty solid, too. The Eagles are creating a dynasty over there in the broadcasting world.
Yeah, some big J's from Syracuse. My final selection, you might not recognize the name Ian Dark, but you know his voice. Any big-time soccer moment, it's Ian Dark. If you ever play FIFA, it's Ian Dark. Ian Dark is the voice of soccer, and he's got so many great calls, and he's just got such an incredible vocabulary. I remember watching when the MLB London series kicked off with the Yankees and Red Sox 2-3 years ago. Aaron Judge hit a home run, and he somehow wove in as Judge rounds the bases representing the Star-Spangled Banner, he's the brightest star in all of London tonight. And I was like, what the hell was that, Ian Dark? But I loved it still. So let us know who had a better draft, myself, Petey, or Rolly. Always love to see the feedback in the comment section. So if you made it all the way to the end of the video, type Petey or Rolly for who you think had a better draft.